Unfiltered with Dave Letele, episode 9. And today I sat down and had a conversation with Louis Davis. One of his missions is to share Māoridom to the world, to billions of people, and he's doing that. He is achieving that through his platform.
Bro, like last year we did 2.4 billion views.
Also smashing a negative stereotype that's often portrayed of Māori men. You know, he's just an amazing guy, you know, come from a great family, had really great examples. One of the things I got from him is when he talked about his parents. You know, I actually got a little bit emotional through that conversation. It got me. It's not often that I'm got, you know, not often that I'm left speechless. And he also shared some really great tips on social media. He's cracked the algorithm. So if you are a budding social media person, entrepreneur, and you're wanting to get into this space, I really recommend you take notes just like we did. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this conversation far and wide. Enjoy. Before we get started, Unfiltered with Dave Letele is proudly part of the Acast network and produced by the amazing team at Fanaticals. This episode is brought to you by my good friends, Trust Motors. Now, they're an amazing company that support everything we do in the community. I've known them for a long time, so if you're looking for a new car, trading in your car, whatever the case may be sure to support those who support the community. Trust Motors, how car buying should be. Louis Davis, kia ora, my brother.
Kia ora, bro. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. You've driven all the way. Where'd you just drive from to get here?
Yeah, so I'm from the far north. I purposely don't necessarily say specifically where I live because I feel like my whānau, the locals around, they don't want their dive spots and fishing spots and the best part of our life, like out there for millions of people. But yeah, te tai tokero, ngā pui poi.
Nice.
So love-hate relationship with tamariki. Come down here, it's the big smoke. You're excited to be here when you're a kid. When you're adult, you hate traffic and you hate being away from your peaceful, quiet life.
Yeah, I feel like I live out west. Most of my time I'm spent in the south, and it takes me, nearly 2 hours
That's disgusting.
on the way to work. Worse on the way back, and it's just a nightmare, bro. But thanks for coming on, bro. I know that you messaged Jimmy about after seeing his podcast. What did you think after watching his one?
Bro, I've known that fella for years, and so it's actually quite inspiring because he comes from like the time where this industry didn't exist, where you could make money from storytelling. Obviously, it's huge now, and so many people make a living in this space. But I had a lot of admiration for him because we started out at the same time making videos and stuff, and we're figuring out bits and pieces of making money. But I got engaged and finished university, and I was like, man, I got to provide for a family, and where's my life going? And I gave up. I was like, oh, it's not very realistic. I don't know where this goes. And I went and got a corporate job. And I've always admired Jimmy from afar because he continued with the dream, continued with his normal mahi, his job. And like the courage to see the dream before it's even possible. Because it's hard to go where you don't know.
Yeah.
And so he saw the future that he wanted to live before it was even possible. And so I've always admired him for that, always. Yeah. And when I speak to schools or I spend time with rangatahi and I talk about their dreams and pursuing them, I always talk about him because the comparison between me and him and some other creators at that time is that he had courage and perseverance before there was money, stability, before it was possible, and I gave up. And I talk about my regret for giving up and going to work a corporate job. Yeah.
And you spoke about the stuff, you thought you really knew him.
Yeah. Props to you as an interviewer, man, because often content creators, when we hang out, we share this interest, this hyper niche, which is telling stories to millions of people, and we feel like we can only really talk about that with our peers that also make videos. So all of our time together is about this thing that we love, which is making videos, and like years and years and years, you can know someone, and then like you pulled that out of them on the podcast. It's an incredible story, Jimmy. If you're watching this, bro, you need to do something with that story. That's powerful. That could change someone's life. And the way that you've turned your life around, I encourage you to do something with that, bro. Awesome.
Yeah, it really gives people hope, eh? And that's what this is about. Just sharing inspiring stories to to speak to people that might be stuck in a rut of life, thinking, man, what am I going to do? This is impossible.
Yeah, I think there's something so admirable about the ludicrous dreamer. There's someone who dreams so ridiculous, and even just the courage to dream that way, you know, to speak it in your own mind, to share it with your partner, with your friends. And it is a crazy dream to be like, I want to wake up every day and make people laugh. I want to wake up every day and tell stories to millions of people. My upbringing, my experiences, my resources tell me that that's not possible, but I have the courage to pursue that. And there's so many content creators with that story. I admire them all, and I can appreciate the craft. Like no matter what type of content you do, I can appreciate that. One of my favorite content creators is this bro who just fishes in his boat and he live streams. It's his full-time mahi.
Yeah.
Lost his job during COVID, and he just started live streaming, and he's changed his whole life. And he just does what he loves doing, which is fishing and live streaming. And even if that's not like my niche, like there's this other fella I like who drives a truck on live stream. He was a truck driver for 20 years, quit his job, and now he just live streams a virtual truck on Twitch.
Wow.
And he just chats to people. And like people can change their lives. That's the power of the internet. And like that might not be your dream, because your dream might have been to be a lawyer, or you wanted to act on Shortland Street or whatever. There are dreams which kapai, that's awesome. But I admire the dream that's crazy, that doesn't exist, that never been done. Because if your dream was to be an actor on TV or actor on stage, you can see the roadmap to that. That's been done thousands and thousands of times. But it's crazy to be like, I'm gonna use my phone and make videos, and that's going to be my job. That's a crazy dream. One day it won't be. One day it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Well, one day it'll be way more normal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true, you know. I mean, I think about my journey, you know, and starting with nothing, and then I'm gradually building up my own journey, getting fitter, you know, boxing on TV, and I thought, you know, I had all these people helping me with my fitness journey. I said, man, one day I'd love to have my own gyms, helping our people, you know, to get their health back. And I remember we had all volunteers back in the day. And I said to them, one day we're going to have our own gyms. Yeah. You're all going to be being paid here, all be, you know, helping others and getting paid to do it. That's the dream. And you know, a few of them laughed and they think, oh yeah, whatever, Dave. Yeah. But now look, you know, they are. You know, we've got 20 full-time staff that have been with us from the beginning. Yeah. You know, it's amazing.
That's the courage to dream, man.
Yeah.
One of my bros, Te Ao, talks about this concept of our ancestors and being able to see the island before you can see the island. And so when we're out there and we're in the swell, in the waves, getting seasick, the people around us aren't sure where we're going or if we're going to get there, but the power of a great navigator, like in your story, before the people around you could see it, you can see the island before the waka can see the island.
Man, I love that. That's because a lot of even now people around us say, "Don't worry, I know where we're going to go." My wife hates it because I'm doing all these things, but I know where we're headed.
Is your wife like quite a stable person, a routine person? Yeah, and you're the dreamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to say that one is good or bad, but often those two people wind up together, because I imagine she stabilizes you.
It's a good combo.
Yeah, otherwise you probably take too many risks.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's like that with my wife.
Yeah.
Just enough to be like, babe, we should quit our jobs, move home to where I'm from, and let's make videos. Like, that's a pretty crazy ask, but then she also stabilizes all the other routines of our life, and imagine it's the same.
Awesome, brother. Let's go back to the start, brother. Where'd you get brought up?
Bro, so from a little place called Whakapara in the north. I grew up near my marae, grew up on my whenua, a place called Taumata Okioki, the resting place. And I had an awesome childhood, being outdoors, like getting to like chop wood and fish and dive. And I had like unreal present parents, like parents that were always around, always doing stuff with me. From making little experiences, like very small experiences, like teaching me something super interesting, or spending time with me, or playing a game with me. Like, those are all my memories from a child, like never being in the way, my ideas always meaning something, my thoughts always mattering. Like, I remember when I was 8, I animated Jackie Chan fighting dragons on Microsoft PowerPoint, and I remember showing my parents, and I remember that reaction, the encouragement, the support, that impressed by the cleverness of it, the creativity of it, and like, that's like a core memory for me, is like my parents were always for me, they always supported me, always encouraged me, and like I think that's a real central thing for where my life has gone. I just had the ridiculous audacity to think my dreams would work out because my parents just thought I was wonderful. Yeah, my parents are my heroes. I don't know, I forget what you've asked me now, but my parents they're my heroes. They're the central thing in my upbringing and then into my life, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's amazing, hearing all these different stories from the people we sit down with, and it's really refreshing to sit down with a young Māori man, and because a lot of the times we're always painted with just having, really negative upbringings and no role models, but it's they are out there, eh? We're not all like once warriors.
Yeah. This is what I knew as a child. I think one of the greatest gifts my dad ever gave me is that he just loved my mum my whole life. I just watched my hero love my mum, the person I looked up to the most. He was crazy about my mum. He looked after her, he encouraged her. I just have all these memories of them laughing, loving each other, looking after each other. And when I did see them fight, I always got to watch them resolve. So I learned this process of loving someone isn't perfect, but there is a process of resolution. And so when I got to adulthood and I fell in love with the hobby of making, I've skipped a few steps, but I fell in love with the hobby of making videos and telling stories to people. My observation of the media landscape was that Māori men are the aggressor, the warrior, in the news, the abuser, the criminal. These are our biggest stories. They get the most clicks, so it incentivizes newspapers and stuff or news outlets to write those kind of stories. It gets the most critical acclaim or awards, like a story about abuse or gangs, or those are our biggest Māori stories we've told to the world. Even if it's just a story of like Boy, for example, it's just a story of absent dad, neglected kids, really, Our biggest stories are that, regardless of being based on truth or not, because people always come back at me online about that. This is the reality of that. I know it's the reality of something, but I'm aware of this. But it wasn't my reality.
Yeah.
And so the story that I wanted to tell to the world was the story of a Māori father that loved his kids. I have 3 beautiful girls. Loved his wife. Was soft, playful, silly with his whānau, and that story be so big, so far-reaching, a tsunami wave, that it would wash away any stereotype that came before me. And bro, last year we did 2.4 billion views.
Wow.
There's no bigger story. There's nothing I could do with my time that would be a bigger outreaching, to share my idea with the world than what I do, which is wake up and make videos about my whānau, about me, about being a dad, being a husband, the good, the bad, the journey. And all that started from a place of I want to tell a story of goodness, a story of light, a story of love. And in the internet today, one of the easiest ways to get traction or get views is to have something negative. It's just a tried and true method for how you get max engagement on a video. And I've figured out how to never resort to that. Never resort to something bad. I never use a stereotype about our people for a cheap laugh. And I think every time I post a piece of content, if this is the only thing that you take away from if you're on the other side of the world in Ghana and Italy and America, if this is the only piece of content you ever consume about Māori people, you will leave it thinking we are people of goodness, people of love, people of light.
Man, it's really powerful, bro. You've cracked that algorithm.
Well, that part is also true. I have a very analytical understanding of the algorithm, and I it seems so simple in my brain. I think there's some sort of neurodiversity in my brain, but generating ideas and storytelling and like I can just make a video that gets 10 million views. I don't mean with arrogance. I mean I have an analytical understanding of how to make videos get heaps of views. I understand the strategical things that need to happen. I understand what needs to happen in the actual content, but also in the edit. I've always seen the roadmap to that space. And I'm not the only one, but there's a very small handful of us in our country. So it's actually this very niche skill that a few of us have that we all love using.
So how do you do it?
How do you make a viral video?
Take us through these steps.
Yeah.
Take some notes, boys.
Right. So the first step is what makes everyone stop. So this is why only a few people do it, and you have to have something slightly different in your brain. Is that you basically have to make videos every day. You might not post videos every day. I'd encourage anyone to. But the first is consistency. So the first is the rep. So no one can be successful in social media. 0 people will be successful in social media if you aren't consistent. So if you not make a video every day, because a person will see a video of yours on the For You page, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts 7 to 12 times before they consider even following you. That's not they're gonna follow you. They're gonna see 7 to 12 of your videos before they even consider it. So if you're not getting your 7 to 12 videos out, you're not gonna even be in the realm of possibility if someone wants to use one of their precious follows on you. This is the part that people can't get past, because people approach me every week, and my friends in whānau that they want to do better with their business on social media, or they want to build a personal brand or whatever. And I say, whatever your core thing is that you want to tell stories about, you just got to make a video about it every day for a month, and then come back and talk to me, and then we'll go from there. And then 99 out of 100 people don't do that, which means that you won't be able to do it as a job. You won't be able to use it as a primary business funnel for whatever product you want to sell online, because you'll always be straining to do it. And you'll be competing against a business that loves making content about their product, or you'll be competing against a content creator that loves making videos about whatever they make videos about, whether it's breeding butterflies or carving, or for me, it's fishing, diving.
Getting people fit.
Yeah. So you have to love the thing that you tell stories about. Otherwise, you'll get over it. It's just not, you can't compete with someone that loves what they do. So the first is consistency. So make a video every day for a month. Another basic principle is your face. Like, I don't know why. So like people would, if you've seen the most beautiful sunset in the whole world, someone that doesn't make videos would assume that you would take a video of the sunset. That is not interesting. Everyone understands what a beautiful sunset looks like, right? And everyone can replicate that experience. But you are the only you, and you experiencing that sunset is the magic. Are you there on your honeymoon? Is that why it's magical? Are you there because you've just got divorced? Are you there because you're grieving someone that's passed away? Are you there, like, what is your experience of consuming that sunset? So like your face and the central thing, every single video. It's either got to be the first frame or it's got to be the central thing, because it goes back to that principle of, we better wind me in because this is my hyper interest, so I can talk about this the whole time.
We're taking notes, man.
Your face is the central thing that anchors the video, so that someone, when they're on that journey to watching their 7 to 20 videos of you before they follow you, 7 to 12 is consideration, that 12 to 20 is where they might actually click follow. So you have to make all this content and have your face as the central frame for all your videos, in the hope that you build rapport with the audience and they eventually want to go on a longer journey with you.
So consistent
face, central frame, and then subtitling. So 55%. So recently I learned this at Instagram. I was at their head offices, and 55% of people on Instagram Reels watch in silence, and lots of people don't know that. So more than half of people watching Reels watch it sound off. Wow. So there's no sound. So if you don't have any subtitles, and it's fully the content of the video is fully predicated on what you're saying, you're just going to miss a whole audience. And the algorithm knows who are the users that prefer sound off. So they're not even going to serve you to 55% of the possible people who would like your video, because you don't have subtitles. Yeah. So those are 3 very easy, or from my perspective, make a video every day, face, center frame, and subtitles. Those are real simple things. The advanced steps come later, but if you did that for a month, you'd get somewhere. And as long as you're doing about something you really care about, for you, it's helping people get fit and healthy and well. For me, it's fishing, diving, my whānau, life on the coast.
How important is like hashtags and cover photos and stuff like that?
If you're at the point where you're trying to like fine tune, yes, there's little differences that make the difference. But that's down the other end. That's like someone asking you about like macro counting. You're like, bro, you just need to get here every day. Let's start there. Like when someone asks you the advanced steps at the start of getting well, you're like, nah, bro, slow down. Just do these first.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Someone might be weighing, starting out from the couch program, might be weighing 200-300 kilos,
Yeah.
and they're asking me about fasting. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, bro, that's like later on. You know, that's like if you want to lose
Yeah,
another 5
slow
kilos,
down,
some of that.
slow
You know,
down, yeah.
just stop drinking fizzy drinks.
There is a point where you're splitting hairs, where you're like thinking about hashtags, the caption, the frame that sits on the grid, time that you. There is a process for that, but that's when you're splitting at the top 5% of content, and like with respect to anyone starting out, no one is there at the start. You know, like you had Jimmy on, who to me is on the Mount Rushmore of New Zealand Kiwi creators, like he's down that end. So when you start, and he's been doing this for 12 years, so like you can't start and be, you know,
straight there.
Yeah, can't be straight there. So like I encourage people not worry about that part. Just focus on those first 3 and do it about something you love.
Awesome, man. Let's go back to, you know, talking about changing the perception, you know, of Māori men. How can we all continue to do that? Because you're right, brother. I'll just talk about Auckland University did a study on us, some research, and they've got this, must be like some kind of piece of software or algorithm. They can put all these things in, and the media, right? They get all the media done over X amount of years, stories done around Māori and Pacifica. They did that with us without us in it, and almost all of the stories were negative, mainstream media. They put our name into the mix, and all the stories were positive. You know, and again, like what you're saying is, you know, continuing to get the positive messages out there, using our platform to advocate, using our platform to talk about, you know, amazing stories, not just the negative ones. But how can we do that on a mass scale?
On a mass scale, I think that is actually starting to shift. Like one of my favorite creators, Te Ao, I feel so inspired by his storytelling. I think they're like Paris Nuku around kai and whānau and motherhood. It's growing, you know, us in the space that are doing this, and I think our phones are the vehicle to telling that story to the world, because there are 14, 13-year-old girls in Hastings that are watching Paris Nuku cooking videos and seeing like this like incredible, amazing person, you know, like if you're like Brox, who's like this carver, he's like one of our most watched streamers in the world on Twitch. I don't know if you ever come across him. He has like 2 million followers on Twitch, which is like, so it's just next level. He's like one of our biggest ever streamers, and he just carves.
Yeah.
He's an amazing dad, like amazing husband. There's this super viral video of the first time he ever got donated, because he just wanted to stream to teach people about carving.
Yeah.
But the first time he got donated, he tried to give it back. That video has like 100 million views.
Wow.
Like he didn't want the money, but now, like over the years, like it's happening, and it happens with our phones. Like your kaupapa, bro, like this podcast. This is how that will shift, because we don't answer to legacy media.
Yeah.
So like the story is what we want to tell, and before us, there wasn't evidence that this fuzzy good story of us anyone would care and watch. So people kept investing in TV show pictures about violent Māori whānau. You know, they kept running stories on Herald because they needed clicks about, you know, because this is the rage bait about Māori culture gets clicks. And so, but because we don't answer to legacy media, we can tell whatever story we want, and so all that shifting. I think how it happens in an everyday level, that one's tough. But it feels like, from my perspective, not realistic to put it on an individual basis, because we grow and live in community. So I don't think we can just like get on this microphone and tell Māori men to be great partners. And I think if I had to have a wero for our people, it would be for men, and how we keep our brothers accountable, and that are our friendships and the way that we live, the way that we treat our partners, the way that the things that we do together, you know, how is that changing? Because it might be that the simple act of a group of brothers that used to always hang out, get on the piss, and like that was their brotherhood. That it might be that that shifting, whatever the landscape they experience their brotherhood in, leads to some bigger shifts around our attitudes and our values and our ideas.
Yeah, I think, what all the, your people like yourself and all the people you've just talked about, and even with the stuff that we're doing here and in our mahi that we do in the community, it's about just providing examples, especially for our tamariki and rangatahi coming up on their phones, providing them positive examples of what's out there, what's possible, and that the good life belongs to all of us.
Yeah. Do you struggle with that when people say all those nice things to you? When people make you an example, do you struggle with, does that feel like pressure when you get a message about changing someone's life, or it's just more good, so it just washes away any imposter syndrome you might have?
Yeah, sometimes, bro, it's like I never really, probably like yourself, I never really stopped to think about the impact. People talk to me all the time about it. I was at a big conference for NZ Beef and Lamb the other day, and a lady, Julia, amazing lady, she came up to me, she goes, you just don't get it. You don't get the ripple effect that you're having, not just on the people you're with every day, but the wider community. When she speaks like that, I sort of, I don't know, I guess it's hard to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just say, really? I guess that's a bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But I guess I never just
because you can't be like, fuck yeah, I'm doing it. You can't be like, I'm smashing. You can't say that.
Yeah.
But you also, the other way, like, you don't even necessarily feel that way. You probably have a sense of responsibility that doesn't need that. So it's like, it's always like, this is my mission regardless of you saying that. So you saying this nice thing is like, well, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But for me, like, the reason I do what I do is because to me it's a miracle I'm not dead or in prison, and I just can't waste that miracle. Man. I just have to use it for good, and I just feel like I'm obligated to help our people, especially those that are born into situations like I was, just to let them know, and this is about having you on, it's about amplifying, this positive message. Because like you said, bro, there's too much of the negativity out there. But brother, you speak about your, you can see everything lights up when you speak about your wife and your 3 daughters. Where did you meet your wife?
Bro, I met my wife. Like, I messaged her on Facebook. We were in the same small hometown.
Yeah.
And then I convinced her to jump out of her window. She was like living 2 streets away from me in high school, and she met me in a park. I was like 15. Jeez. That's like terrible. If you're listening out there, that's terrible. Don't do that. The love of your life is not going to meet you in a park at 1 a.m. But yeah, we like all teenagers, we had like a rocky up and down, through our teenage years of growing up, because we've been together since kids. Like my mother-in-law like met me at 15. She met the shittest version of me.
Yeah.
And so we've grown up together, and I've got to experience all the facets of my life, like with my person. If it's weird because often people say to me like, how did you know? Or are you worried about what you've missed out on in life? Like, choosing my person so young. But I think the opposite is crazy, which is like you have an age in mind that you want to settle down, like 30, 28, 32, whatever, and you just marry whoever you happen to be with. That's crazy to me, And I was 16 when I got her in my moko, and I told her that I'm going to marry you. And I married her pretty much 5 years to the day after that.
Wow.
And when I told my parents that I was going to ask her to marry me, because I asked for my own whānau's blessing as well as talking to hers, my mum asked me why I wanted to marry her. And I said, because she's kind and she has an adventurous heart, and if she had nothing else, that would be enough. And that's still how I feel. My wife is soft and warm and kind. She gets along with everyone. She's not someone that's in strife with anyone else, so she's very peaceful. And then she's extremely adventurous. I had this memory of my wife where we're in the Sahara Desert, and she's standing on the top of the sand dune. It's huge. And then she turns back to me, and she smiles, and then she just disappears over the sand dune into the setting sun. And it's just that is how I'll remember my wife, you know, adventurous, daring, cheeky, fun, warm, and I found my person in life. Yeah, I truly can't imagine a life without my wife. That's just not to say that it's not incredibly hard to be married. And anytime we're held up on a pedestal as this example of young love, it happens all the time on the internet. Like, we get held up as this example.
How does that feel?
Well, I like quickly go against it. I quickly challenge it. Not because I have imposter syndrome, but because I think it's really important that young people don't grow up thinking that the end of the movie that's your happily ever after. Marriage is an active choice.
Yeah.
Every day you choose to be with that person, and your marriage could end at any moment. And there'll be some times where it feels really close to that, and times where it just feels like the greatest thing ever. But you have to continually work at your relationship. Yeah, and I'm the same. Always working on my relationship, always trying to improve and for it to be better. And yeah, because it's just this push and pull of compromise. And but if it's the person that you want to spend your life with, become grandparents with, you know, spend your last days with, you'll go through all those seasons. Michelle Obama has this real cool whakaaro where she was like, if you were married to someone for 50 years, that's a real good marriage. If 10 of those years you were miserable, like you were so miserable, but you had 40 great years with someone, like on average across that 50 years, that's a great life.
Yeah.
And like that's how I think of mine with Ash. I think we're in this real tough season, which you have young kids, and so like I have a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and newborn, and the season isn't for you. The season is for your kids.
Yeah.
You're doing your best together, but it's like you have 3 kids who can't do anything for themselves, so it's all about them, you know? And then you have mahi, and you have trying to go for a run, and you have all the other things you're interested in, knitting. Like, how do you fit everything into your day? And often the person you love and trust the most falls behind in those priorities because it's about the kids, it's about wellness, it's about,
I think, you know, you just had such amazing examples, with your parents, and you spoke about, you know, watching the good times and the bad times and then how they resolved it. What did you learn about, again, asking from a personal perspective, what did you learn from them about resolving these issues?
A lot of people are in whānau, particularly Māori whānau, where we don't say sorry. It's a very common thing in whānau where time elapses. I don't feel angry anymore. I don't feel sad anymore. So we will move forward. But the actual practice of this is how I felt about what happened, and then the other person receiving it and then saying this is how I felt about it, and then having understanding, and then potentially actually saying the word sorry or presenting remorse in a different way. That practice is so important because it's saying that I accept how you felt about that. I actually take this inside of me, and you take how I felt inside of you, and so we can move forward. And it's just so common for the actual practice of sorry to feel like an assault on someone's mana or humiliating, or that it's you should avoid sorry or accountability, or you should avoid that because it will hurt to be sorry. But it actually can be a really beautiful thing to make up.
Geez, you're wise. How old are you?
I'm 31.
Far out. You are very wise, brother. You know, sorry, babe. Hey, sorry, Kareen.
Bro, the S word feels sore for us, eh? And I think that's our upbringing.
Man, I'm 45, bro. 46 this year. I just learnt that. So thank you, brother. I'm gonna try and implement that into my daily life. I think because I didn't have those best examples, you know.
Yeah, if someone was at home as a parent and you were like, when did I last say sorry? Like if you just think about your last 5 years, because we've all hurt people. I love our kids, our parents, and if the answer's like never or I haven't, like I would encourage anyone, and I almost promise you, I'm pretty sure this won't go poorly. You call one of your kids that you are good with. that you are sweet with now, and apologize for something, and like just feel what that is for your kids. You'll feel the magic. You'll feel like that is so much more power than any like I love you or I miss you could give them on a phone call. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel that, bro. I got 3 older kids. You know, one's 23, 19, 15, and 7. And fuck, I made some mistakes, you know, especially with the older ones. So, yep, definitely I learned something, bro. I learned, if anything out of this today, I learned that. I'm going to make sure I implement those things because, yeah, even with me and my dad, we don't have that relationship. A lot of stuff there still simmering, eh? You know, just gotta, that would be powerful.
If your dad called you after this and said sorry for something really big in your story together, what do you think that would feel like?
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it would release some trauma, bro. Definitely, you know, if he was to do that. Same with, you know, he was in jail most of my life, so there's just so much unresolved. You know, we're close, but we're not, you know, not real close. So yeah, it would break me at first. It would release the floodgates, but yeah, I'd feel relief, bro. That's what I would feel. But I need to, and it's funny you talk about it's a learned thing, like, you know, and then we pass it on. Like, you know, I tell my kids all the time, every day, I love them. Every time I see them, every time they go, I love you. Something that was never told to me, you know, but very rarely do I say sorry, you know. So no, thank you, bro. I'm really gonna take that on board. It's really a powerful thing.
I think it can be more powerful than I love you because it requires way more vulnerability than to love someone. Like, it's easier to love someone than it is to be vulnerable and remorseful, because they could trample on that. They could reject that. That's the bigness of it. Sorry, bro, for going down there.
No, it's true. It's good, bro. I mean, I think of my eldest boy who's not with us anymore, and you know, he saw a lot more, you know, being the eldest. So definitely gotta, you know, and we just don't talk. So I've got to make that effort, reach out and just be that, just say sorry. But anyway, but thank you, brother.
It's my interview, not yours, my bad.
No, I enjoyed that, bro. It was something that's what I actually love about this, you know, about this series that we're doing now, is because I just learned so much. You know, if all the people that we're having on here is people that we admire, we look up to, we love what they're doing, and then it's about like, I'm learning as well as everyone that's watching, you know, it's really powerful, man. So yeah, we really appreciate it. You spoke earlier, brother, about the regret, you know, when you're following, you know, saw Jimmy and the regret of going to get the normal job. How did that all happen?
I just was going to get married, so I just lost a bit of courage, I think. I was like, I need to get a stable job, a stable income. And I enjoyed my job. Like, I used my talents and my skills, like, in the university space, like, supporting students through their university. And it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my dream. And Jimmy Carr talks about this concept, which is like, how much would it cost to abandon your dream? How much would I have to pay you to give up on your dream? And for the answer of most of us, it's actually like 60, 80, 100 grand a year. Like, if I give you that, you'll abandon your dream.
Yep.
You know? And just that concept, like, that rings like so big inside of me, because it's like, yeah, I abandoned my dream for a salary and this is a privileged position, because obviously not everyone can go out and achieve their dream. But somewhere inside of me, I thought I had it in me for my dream to come true. So that was the regret, that I think I had I think I would have been able to make it work. And so I just lost 7 years. I'm back on that track now. My life has changed, where I wake up and my mahi is to tell stories to millions of people.
How did you get to that point? So talk to us about that. So you're working a normal 9 to 5. How did you? And you talk to your wife. So we're going all in.
Yeah, so we're in Wellington, and we're about to have our second baby, and I was like, I want to go home and raise my kids with their whānau. We're here in Welly where we have no whānau. We have friends, we have a life here, but they don't have their grandparents. They don't have their village. They're not going to grow up around the water. They're not going to grow up around who they are. That's not to disrespect someone who is living away from home for mahi or is in Oz or whatever, but for me personally, I wanted that for my kids. And I said, I have to go home. And my wife had wanted to go home for a long time. She was just there, supporting me, and she wanted to go home. And what actually happened was, we were flying back from a family trip to Oz to see Ash's family, and I was flying into the airport. We had the customs card, and you fill out what your occupation is, what you do for money. And I wrote down on it content creator. And my promise to myself was, when I step off this plane, I'm just going to act every day like this is what I do. My side hustle is my job, but what I am is I'm a content creator. I'm a storyteller. And I got off the plane, and I just approached it like that every day. It was easy because I loved it, but all my spare time when I wasn't at my big boy job is I spent on my craft. And 7 months later, I was making more just online videos, and I was in my very nice corporate job. And I just walked into my boss's office, and I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the logic is simple, which is, if you don't go anywhere else and you only make videos, then your videos will do better. And that's the journey I've been on. Yeah.
What was the moment, or what was the first sort of paycheck from? Was it YouTube or TikTok?
Yeah.
When you go, man, I can really make something of this.
Oh, it was because I'm a real positive guy. So it was actually my first ever. Like, I made like 2 months' salary, like just telling people to vote, getting people to vote. Like, and I was like, with my ideas, with my videos, I just I could not go to work for 2 months. Like, that's how I equated it.
Yeah.
And it was like from that, basically, as soon as I started making any money, I was like, I can crack this. I actually was even at the point where I was like, what if I quit without financial stability, like before that moment, and then just figure it out? Yeah. And I think that, bro, there's just so many crazy things that happen along the way. It's actually insane how much my life has changed. It's out of it because I'm a real simple guy. I don't drive a nice car. People will comment on how I'm wearing this shirt again because I don't have many clothes. Like, bro, I'm just a real simple dude. And then my life, you'll kind of resonate with this. You'll find yourself in corporate boxes. You'll find yourself in these crazy meetings with supercars. All these, you'll be like, where am I right now? And the balancing act you probably have to do is, how do I still be the man of the people that I am, which is who I am in my heart? But I'm in this out of it space. I'm like, I'm serving my community this morning. There was a billionaire in the meeting in the afternoon. So it's like It
is a crazy thing, the different sort of circles you're moving in, meeting politicians, prime ministers, all those things.
Even like that, like if you wanted to, like you could talk to the prime minister in the next 3 hours. Like you could figure out how to make that happen.
Well, he's not picking up my phone calls
that's
anymore.
Right. I remember that. But you could at least get your local politician on the phone in the next year. I was like that's what a head trip that your life has changed like that much. Yeah.
I spoke to Rawiri Watiti yesterday. That was cool.
Did he come in here to do this?
No, he's going to though.
Yeah.
He's going to. But I spoke to him on the phone about another kaupapa. it's pretty. I just always make sure that I'm the same. So normally, normally I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. This is me dressed up.
Thanks, bro.
For my podcast and for
it.
my guests. But yeah, I'm always in shorts. And I remember turning up to a national party conference, right? A breakfast, flash as everyone's in suits and ties, and it's like Spot the brown guy. I'm there in my shorts and a t-shirt and hoodie, and sitting at the table. But like Christopher comes up to me and and everyone's going, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But I always just make sure I stay the same, no matter where I am. It can be at a gang tangi or in a boardroom.
Yeah, man.
Just keep it authentic, keep it real. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. But I always think, bro, there's no point, and I say it all the time, there's no point of having a profile if you don't use it to advocate and do good for your people. Yeah. There's no point.
Yeah, but you also have a lot of skills in existing in both spaces. Though you have talents that let you exist in both spaces. Where I feel like it's unfair that there's all these rules for how we can be successful in these real Pākehā spaces or in legacy media spaces. But unfortunately, there are some of our people that have talents around storytelling and reaching our audiences and stuff, but they're boxed out because they don't know how to be inside the box. You got to be unfortunately, and you'll understand, you got to know how to be in the box sometimes. This is part of the game. Yeah.
And you got to know to be in the box, and once you're in there, that's when you start to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a story. Like if I'm ever in these places, I just hammer the story. Like I do a lot of corporate talks and meet with a lot of people, and I always just talk it because a lot of them, through no fault of their own, they don't know what's going on down here.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we let them know what's going on.
Yeah. You have some out of it interactions in those spaces too. They start telling you about the one random time they met a Māori guy, some of those spaces there. It's like they want to keep you as a pet almost. Yeah. I have this experience at least. Yeah, where it's like.
What's one of the craziest experiences that you've gone through,
bro? So many things are like a head trip, bro. Like, or stuff to like famous people like liking and sharing your stuff to like. Bro, like, I don't know when this comes out. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but like, I have a lightsaber, and I like annoy my wife with my lightsaber. It's like a full on lightsaber, right? Yeah. And bro, like next week I go to Disneyland to open the new Star Wars world.
Wow.
Like I'm a Māori boy from the north that doesn't even make Star Wars.
How did that happen?
I have like a viral series of lightsaber videos. Yeah, and like I like, there actually like has been an unbelievable amount of things where I just wind up in these spaces where I can't believe that I'm there, and then the stress is like, how do I stay true to who I am, and how do I tell the story about simplicity and goodness, and you only need your whānau and your whenua to be happy. When I'm in this corporate box, I'm in this Lamborghini.
So how are you doing it? How are you navigating that?
I think you just need honesty of the audience that my life has changed because of all of you. So like every time I'm at the Warriors, I'm in a corporate box, right? I love the Warriors. My wife loves the NRL. I watch every game every week. And so there was a time where I was trying to hide that. Like when we do the post or whatever, I would like film it in a way where you didn't know where I was sitting because and that wasn't really working. So you had to be honest with the audience. Like we started in the South Stand or watching at home. Like we love the Warriors. Like this is our Jesus, our story, and you have changed our lives. Because of what you have done, the millions of people that follow us and support our whānau. Like, this is our life now. And I'll just come with you hand in hand with honesty. Like, this is how it has changed. I'm still me. And just don't try and hide it. I used to try and hide it. So I'll just have to be real honest about that too. Because that's a very unrelatable experience, what I'm about to do as well. Go to Disneyland, like staying, like out of, like.
I'm still at that point where, like, there's things I do. When you're in the charity space, doing all this work that we're doing, especially if you're brown, a Māori Samoan, God forbid you're also successful. Mm-mm. God forbid it. Yeah. It's I use the example of I Trust Motors is one of my sponsors. And so I get to drive a lot of nice cars. I had a BMW M5, super nice. No one ever saw it. I don't show off anything like this. But I got rid of it and I swapped it for a Holden. It's a nice Holden.
Yeah.
But it's funny because people see you driving a BMW. No matter that, I don't get paid for my charity. The charity's for the money.
Yeah.
All my speech, all this sort of stuff is what pays for my life.
Yeah.
And they see you in a Beamer. That bastard, that fucking Māori's ripping off his charity.
Yeah.
They see you
and
turning
then
up.
you probably find yourself over-explaining your situation.
And then but you turn up at a Holden. Good on that guy. Good on. You know what? He's worked hard. He's got himself his dream car.
I actually
eh?
drove a Holden here. It's my little brother's university car.
I love Holdens. But it's just funny that I'm still at that point, bro.
Yeah.
You know, where, when we got our first home, I just couldn't show it. It's such a proud thing for us to do. Like, a lot of us will never dream of owning a home.
Yeah.
But it's funny. But when I work with rangatahi, that the only people they see with nice things is drug dealers or gang members.
That's the importance of sure.
That's what So to them, for me, I must show them.
Yeah,
that there's another way. And I always say if they see me in a nice car, say, the best thing about this car, I didn't sell one drug to get it.
Man.
And no matter what motivational talk you give them, that's what gets through.
Yeah. I actually went this whole podcast thinking I was really trying not to swear, but that's good to know. I can just talk.
Yeah, man. Can swear. Let's just, hey, we own this. Yeah. This is ours.
That's a powerful story. Like that, which is, this is the path. I didn't have to do anything wrong, basically, to acquire this. That's powerful. And if that was enough, I would encourage you to share your story. I wrestle with that same thing, which is, we're of the people, we don't want people to assume the worst.
Yeah.
That our lives has changed, but I've reached a place for me personally where it's like, I just have to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, my life's out the gate now.
Yeah. That's so cool, bro.
The craziest privilege in life, the craziest privilege that I've been afforded, which I thank Atua every day for, and I'm not even a spiritual person or religious person, but I thank the universe for this, is that every day I wake up and get to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different versions of that.
Yeah.
You have that same privilege in your life, but that is one of the rarest privileges in our society, is to get to wake up and do what you actually want to do. And like, if what you actually want to do, the people might really like that they're a really successful engineer. They might really like they're a really successful doctor, but is so used to being proud of the things that maybe they don't even know how to dig into what they actually want to do. If I speak to young people, less than year 11, like younger than 15, crazy dreams, crazy aspirations. Like, it's so cool to hear what they want to do with their life. They're not thinking realistic at all.
Yeah.
Somewhere around NCA time and those exams, year 11 to 13, you ask them the same question, they start telling you they want to be an engineer. It's like, if you're listening to this, you're an engineer, and you're feeling disrespected. I'm really sorry. It's just what I just, for me personally, and this might be my judgment, is I don't know what happens around that age where they start to think about realistic jobs. Like, what happens where they abandon the crazy dream? Yeah. Something happens where from as young as 15, 16, they start thinking about how they can fit into the system. Yeah, it makes me real sad, actually. And that's what I admire about people like you, that you have figured out how to live in your purpose. You figured out how to wake up each day and do what you want to do. And it's the craziest privilege. And it means that when you deal with hard things and bad things, like, we have a way different outlook on dealing with hard things and bad things for the things that we want to be dealing with. Like, imagine doing a job that you're miserable and you hate, and you got to deal with hard things, bad things, right? So at least when you're like trying to problem solve the food bank, like, you know why you're doing that. You like know why you're stressed about that. You want to be stressed about that.
Yeah,
that's the greatest privilege in life. Wake up with purpose.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And like, just having that freedom. Yeah. Which you're right. It's a real blessing, because not everyone has that. Very little.
Yeah. It's also disingenuous to not acknowledge it's truly not possible for everyone for this to happen. at the same time. Yeah, and we all have varying start points, but I wish more people got to live in their purpose.
Man, someone asked me the other day, she asked me, what was it, when you got out of hospital for stabbing yourself, you didn't have your children to drive you, like you didn't have them yet, you didn't have anything else. What was it that got you up to be where you are now? And I just said, there was always something inside me that knew I was meant for more.
Man.
And I didn't know what it was, but there was always something deep inside me, in my heart and in my head, that just knew it. There's something more for me. It's
powerful.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was before I had anything else, like my kids to drive me. That's what it was. I think we're just wired differently.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal, bro?
Truly?
The ultimate.
Yeah. So I'll answer in two parts.
Yeah.
If you had asked me what my dream is when I was in my corporate job 5 years ago, what's your dream scenario? If you couldn't fail, what would happen? It would be, I would tell stories to millions of people. I would live in my home in the north. I would fish and dive as much as I can. I would have babies. I'd spend as much time as I could with my wife and watch my kids spend as much time with their whānau as possible. And somehow I'd get paid for that. And I have the crazy, crazy, crazy 1 in a bajillion situation where my dream came true. And it'll only be add-ons of that dream. Like, me and my wife have started building our dream home. Like, this is the life that's been, like, afforded to us. It'll just be an expansion of that, of, like, my kids, enjoying them, being around my parents, my grandparents while they're still here, enjoying the north, enjoying the moana, and then my passion, my hobby, which is telling stories to millions of people.
Now, and the next thing is billions and billions of people.
Billions and billions of people. Yeah. That's
powerful, bro. You had the dream, but you went all in and you worked. So I always think, like, if you're not willing to work, those dreams are only a fantasy.
Mm. Yeah. But I guess similar to you, if you have a purpose and you love where you're going, it's hard, but you don't feel like you're working because we've all experienced working that we don't enjoy. So when you're working towards something that means something to you, that you're on fire for, like, it's magical.
100%. What's last question, bro, that I ask all my guests that come on? I mean, I think I already know the answer, but what's your why?
Right, that's a hard question, and I should have known I would have been asked that. My why is that when my kids look at their dad and they watch him until they stand on the precipice of adulthood and look out into the big unknown and think about where their life is going, they'll think about all the time they watch their dad growing up have ludicrous dreams, crazy, unrealistic dreams for his life, and they would have the courage to pursue their own.
What would you say to young tamariki, born into circumstances where they have no choice over, thinking that they're not dreaming?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
First, I want to acknowledge that you don't have the same set of tools as me. I'd want to be real honest about that. That I have been given heaps of tools, way more cards in my hand to play. And so first of all, I would acknowledge how hard that is. Secondly, we're living in an age where these little squares in our pockets that can be really harmful, they can also change our lives. And we can go from, Ngāpuhi boy in the far north where there's only a fish and chip shop and a dairy in his hometown. And you can completely change your life. It's possible. It's possible. If, in general, what I would say to all young people is to dream unrealistically, crazily, dream long, dream far. And if you have the courage to do that, you have the possibility that it could happen. One last thing on dreams and kids. It's hard to dream. It's hard to have a crazy dream and go after it, right? But what is so important with your dream is to share it with someone that will encourage you or enable you. So often we share something with someone and they laugh at it or they shoot us down, and we may never think about that again or never pursue that again. So when you have a dream, share it with someone that will encourage you or enable you. It might be an auntie, might be a school teacher, might be a friend at school, might be your parents. And then, this is for everyone. If you realize that you're the person hearing someone's dream for the first time, you have such an important responsibility. Hearing someone's dream, how you receive it could completely change or destroy this person's life. And when you receive someone's dream, you have to think, how can I encourage or enable them? Because so often in New Zealand school culture and in our friendship circles, when someone has an aspiration or a dream, we'll laugh, we'll mock, we'll tell them why it won't work out. They know all the reasons it won't work out. They know how unrealistic it is. They know the silly parts of it. But if you're the person receiving someone's dream for the first time, you have a responsibility to encourage or enable.
So true, bro. Encourage. Thank you so much for joining me, brother. Oh, man. This was a mean counselling session for me, and I learned a lot. So I appreciate you, brother. You keep dreaming, brother. Keep inspiring.
Super. Thanks for having me.
Too much, bro. If you made it this far, thank you so much for the support. It really does mean so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on our videos, and share this out. These stories are so inspiring, and they need to be heard by everyone. Thank you so much, team.